there was something creative, and I always felt like there was something creative in me, and that's why I think I was so lost at 30 when I hadn't done anything creative. I felt like I wanted to be creative.
This episode of #Heroes is with Connemara man Tristan Heanue. He's not just a Connemara man, which makes that special. He's also an award-winning director, filmmaker and an actor. He's set for major stardom next year. We're hoping to see him at the Oscars. Let's find out what Tristan had to say about leaving his 9-to-5 job and following his dream. This is one of my favourites.
Wasn't something I was thinking about, being an actor or anything. Being an actor was the first thing. So I was never thinking really being an actor. I kind of had little ideas, but then there was films being shot around Connemara, and they did a film called Tristan and Isolde down there. And I got a job on that for about 6 weeks. It was about 6 weeks, doing double for James Franco and kind of running around and doing other various jobs on it. And it was just watching that, I was kind of like, geez, I'd like to be an actor. I'd like to try acting. It doesn't look too hard, I thought. And I went to Dublin with the impression of studying acting, and I got a job on the sites instead to try to build up the money for it. And then I went traveling to South America and came back in a lot of debt, and I went back working in the buildings, and then the buildings took over until I was about 29, just about to turn 30. I was 28, and the crash came, and I got let go, and there was like no building work whatsoever. So the only kind of work that was there was sales, and I went into a sales job for, first of all, I did Sky, which was 100% commission. You'd be out all day. It was all commission. There was no basic wage with it at all. And it was cold calling in the States, no leads or anything. And then from there I went to a job in Aircom, where at least you had a van and you had leads of people, but people hated Aircom at this time. So I did that for about a year. And then I went to a play actually before Christmas. It was 2009. And my ex-girlfriend introduced me to a friend of her brother's who was involved in theatre, he was involved in theatre in some way, and she introduced me to him over dinner and was like, "Oh, Tristan wanted to be an actor," and and I was like, "Will you shut up?" I was like mortified because I hadn't, it was like that was years ago kind of thing. I was embarrassed almost at the thought of it. And he was like, "Oh yeah." And later on we'd had a few pints, and he was at the bar, and he was like, "Oh, you should give me your number if we're ever doing something or that, if we're doing auditions, anything in the future, I'll give you a ring." So I was like, "Grant," gave him my number and didn't think anymore. And then it was like a month later. No, it was like 2 months later. It was like mid-January. And I get a phone call from this guy, and he said they were putting on the Lonesome West, it was the Martin McDonagh play. They were putting on a production of it in the Mermaid and Bray. And the guy who was playing the alcoholic priest from Connemara had pulled out. So they were like, "Do you want to come down and audition for it?" So I went down in the Aircom van in the shirt and tie that evening after work, and I auditioned for it, and got the role, and went into like a pretty intensive 2 or 3 weeks rehearsals, and then did a run of it. It was like I think it was only a 4 performance thing. I think it was only a Thursday, Friday, Wednesday, 3 shows maybe. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, something like that. And that was it. That was it pretty much. I pretty much gave up on my job after that. When I came to Dublin in 2004, I went and did this beginner's kind of introduction to acting thing with a woman called Kathleen Warner-Yates and the Abbey School of Music and Drama there on Abbey Street. It's actually it's John Connors did the exact same course. We did the exact same course a couple of years apart, like a few years apart. But that was all the training we had, and that was all I really did was that little course. And then, that was it. And then just went into this play, and it was different because it was theatres, like different theatres. It's so much nerves attached to it, and it's like, but it was a buzz. And afterwards, the buzz I got from it, I was like, it changed everything in my head. It changed the way I was feeling about everything. It changed how I was feeling about the future. Because before that I didn't really know what I was doing or where I was going, or I just felt a bit lost with everything. And that was definitely a moment where, you know, they say them light bulb moments, but it was just a moment. I felt different after that. I never felt the same after that, after doing that play. And then I started there was an old website called Filmmakers Network, not Film Network Ireland, but it was Filmmakers Network before that. Someone told me about it. And you go on, it was all people advertising free short films and student shorts and putting up these posts. So I started just applying for them, and I ended up doing like 9 short films, I think, in 3 months. And that was kind of my training, just like doing student shorts and all these things. And then I did it. I got a small agent, and then I did a TV ad that May. And then it just started little bits like that. Little bits started picking up, and it just kind of went on, just little drips and little drabs and little short films and little things. And then after about 2 years, then I kind of got sick of doing short films and stuff, and I stopped. Kind of after about a year, I kind of stopped doing short films because I was just getting tired with them because they weren't very good, and I was getting the film sent back to me. And I remember the first short I did, the first student short, and I got it sent back to me, and I remember being so excited with the DVD. It came in the post, and I was like, oh God, I made a film, you know. And I put it into the thing, and it was just the most demoralizing thing, because it was just like you'd shot it on your phone. It was just like, oh my God. And from that moment on, I knew what I wanted to make, and how I wanted things to look, you know. So then I stopped doing shorts because I was like, what's the point? Because there's nothing, I can't take anything from them. I've done enough of them now, and there's no quality in them. So I started not working for long periods unless something came along that excited me. And in that period of where I wasn't doing anything, and I just started writing because I'd stopped drinking. Yeah, I stopped drinking around 2012, and I started writing just out of nowhere. Paddy had kind of encouraged it, and it just became this thing where I could just channel, you know, myself into, and I started writing scripts. There was something creative, and I always felt like there was something creative in me, and that's why I think I was so lost at 30 when I hadn't done anything creative. I felt like I wanted to be creative, but I guess that doesn't mean you're going to be creative or that you are any good. But it just, the first script I wrote, then I sent to Paddy, and he was like, yeah, there's something in this. And then I wrote another, and then it was the third one that I wrote that he was like, there's really something in this. This is where you're getting to. And that was In This Place, the first film I made, which premiered at the Fla the following year, 2014. And that kind of blew a load of doors open for me. That changed everything again. Mark O'Connor saw it from Cardboard Gangsters, and I got the role in that. And I met Mark outside the town hall after the Fla. He had seen it. He'd been in the shorts program, and he came up to me, and he was just like, that's one of the best shorts I've ever seen. And I was like, because I'd seen his films, I'd seen Between the Canals, and I'd seen Stalker, and I was a fan. So that was cool, and we kind of became friends after that, and yeah, it just opened a lot of doors. It just got me going around to film festivals. It made you feel a bit important, because not important, but like sometimes you'd go to these film festivals and you'd have nothing on, and you'd be just kind of like wandering around feeling like you're just there for nothing. But it made you not important, but made you feel involved, or it made you feel part of the community more. It's tough. It is, but it isn't. I think it's a very supportive industry as well. It's tough, but people are supportive in it, and there's a good community. And I think it's all about who you have around you, your core unit of people. And I don't worry about the rest. I don't really worry about the rest. I've got a really good core of people who I trust, and actors, who I like to work with, and just Paddy and people like that, and just really, actors who I've worked with in the past, and who I'm talking about working with in the future, and just always ideas are going, and there's always enough going on where you're not too concerned about I think if you're chasing too many things, I think if you're focused on the work and the people around you, and it's all just, I think all them things will come eventually, I think, yeah, I try not to, and now it's starting to happen slowly but surely. It's starting to happen, and there's a lot of hard work ahead. It's like every time you hit some kind of milestone, it's just the hard work is only starting again, and then you hit it then again, and then you've got to do it again, and then it becomes harder and harder. So this should be the stage I'm really enjoying, because it's like still not much pressure or anything like that, you know. A lot of stuff's happened. And the feature film then with Screen Ireland that I got the funding for last week, and they just give you money to write the screenplay. So development money, so you can kind of take a bit of time to, you know, write the script and, you know, not do all the jobs you have. You know, a bit of freedom. They give you a bit of money so you can kind of take a bit of time just to, yeah. So you have to submit an idea, and yeah, they liked the idea I had, and yeah, they picked it as one of the projects. So now I just gotta write it. Yeah, I have my lead actress. She is, oh, she's incredible. So I kind of I wrote it with her in mind, and I approached her a few weeks ago, and like kind of pitched her the idea, and she was just on board straight away. So now I have my lead actress, which is it's now I'm just going to build it around her, because it's still very much a very rough outline of what's going to happen within it. So it was important that I had her on board. If you're writing it for someone in particular, it's important to have them on from the start. And now I'll just write it around her. And yeah, it's just the idea phrase now of just a lot of post-its on the wall and just trying to ideas and trying to put them in some kind of structure, and then trying to put the story through it. And yeah, it's new to me, you know. Feature film writing is new to me. I'm kind of creating it for now. I've done enough kind of research and reading and books and every book under the sun, and speaking to I've had opportunity to work with a really great writer called Eugene O'Brien. He did Pure Mule and loads of stuff. He's one of my favorite writers. So I was working with him on my most recent script, the one that won the Kerry bursary. So we were working together. So it was great because we would work for that for like half an hour, and then I would just pick his brains for like 2 hours. And he was great. He really kind of helped me in just advice and stuff. So, and I have a script supervisor that I'll use now. Part of the money that you get from this goes to a script supervisor. So whenever you put a draft together, you send to them, and they kind of go through it, and they're like, okay, this is kind of what needs to happen with this structurally, and they will kind of mentor you through it. And I have a couple of other people, yeah. I have a couple of close-knit people who I always kind of send stuff to. 5 years' time. I'd definitely like to be on my second feature. I'd like to be established. I'd like to be making, you know, being able to survive as a filmmaker, you know, make my living from film. Have a couple of film. I'm really interested in the production side of things as well, of maybe looking for projects. You know, production company's always been something I've always kind of thought about, something small, and just kind of start to look for projects or try to look for younger talent and writers and stuff and rural voices, and just try to get some stuff moving. And TV projects, there's definitely, you know, people I'm talking with about collaborating together on TV projects and stuff like this. So there's, yeah, I want to be working, want to be creating, want to be happy. Aim high and be selective is I think you have to really ask yourself why you're doing a project, you know. The people have to be great. You have to really trust them, or the script has to be amazing, or, you know, if you know they're putting the money into getting a good camera to make it look good and all this thing. I think even when you're doing small films, if it's just the script isn't great and they're just shooting it on, you know, you can do that a few times to get your experience, but after that it's not really going to benefit you anymore. You'll just become known as someone who does loads and loads and loads and loads of stuff, you know. I think you have to be selective from the start and just pick things that show your strengths, and because the only control you have over your career at the start is your ability to say no to things. That's all you have. You know, if you just keep saying yes to everything, you'll become known. You'll just become known as one of them actors. You have to be selective. And then if you're trying to produce your own work, is just make it stand out by making it look great quality wise. You know, invest in that extra bit to get a good cameraman, a good DP, because sometimes these DPs they just want an interesting script. If you've got an interesting script or something, sometimes they'll be like, okay, I really like the project, I'll do it for half. Some of these DPs aren't, you know, you have to aim high. Get a good sound recordist, get a good cameraman, and just because that's straight away when a festival programmer watches your short, from the first image, they'll be like, okay, this looks good. You know, it looks good. They shot it well. And then if the story's good, you'll get into festivals. But if you just, I know the way you have to for the first few shorts, sometimes use what you got, but condense your ideas down. Our first short, we ran a funded campaign. We tried to get the best camera we could and just tried to make it as good as you can on what you have. And you'll get noticed. If you make a good short that's good quality, you'll get noticed. And you have to get known for quality. Because if you're known for 10, 15 short films, people are like, okay, they've made 15 shorts, but where have they gone? Make one short instead of 5 and put all your money into that and work on the script. Get the best actors. Ask high-profile actors. Because sometimes you think, oh, they wouldn't do it. I'll just get this guy who's done lots of shorts. You just go for someone who's a big agent. Go for someone but make sure the script is good. Because they'll do it. They want to work, and they want to work in interesting things, because you don't know where that director could go in 5 years' time, So aim high. Go for the big actors. And if they say no, well, then work your way down. Go for the big cameraman if they don't, work your way down. And make one short and really work on it.